Have you ever stopped to really think about something as, well, basic as black and white? We use them all the time, right? For clothes, coffee, everything. And we usually see them as total opposites. Light, dark, good, evil, day, night. Simple. But what if they're not simple at all? What if these two colors actually carry these huge, complex, sometimes contradictory meanings, meanings woven through history, culture, science, even the universe? The sources you've brought for this deep dive are just incredible, and that's our mission today, really, to unpack them. We want to explore how black and white go way beyond just, what we see. They're deep symbols, logs in our minds, our art, our science, even the cosmos. So get ready, because this might just challenge how you perceive things.
Absolutely. And that challenge to perception is exactly what Noble D. Lamore talks about with his silver screen painting style idea.
Yeah.
He basically says we need to look past just black and white. We need to find the nuances, the textures, all those shades of gray in between. It's about seeing the whole mosaic, colors, stories, meanings that exist between them. Lamore points out how controversial these two can be just because of, well, social constructs and how we're kind of programmed to see them. So this deep dive is really about stepping back from those fixed ideas, seeing the whole spectrum.
That's a brilliant way to frame it, a perfect starting point.
Yeah.
Because when we look at the spiritual side, the iconic meaning, you immediately see ancient cultures didn't just see colors. They saw something much deeper, didn't they?
Exactly. Yeah. And if we look at ancient Egypt, Richard Wilkinson's work really shows this dual use. Colors weren't just, realistic pictures. They had deep symbolic meaning. Take black. They called it chem. Now we might think night, death, underworld.
Right, the usual associations.
And this is fascinating. It also meant resurrection, fertility, life.
Life. How so?
It came directly from the Nile. The annual flood deposited this rich, fertile black silt. That silt was life. It made the land fertile. So Osiris, god of the Nile and the underworld, he was often shown as black. It connected him to rebirth.
Ah, okay, that makes sense.
Even the name for Egypt, Kemet, meant the black land, referring to that soil, and Nut, the sky goddess, often black, swallowing the sun each night, birthing it again each morning.
Wow, okay, so black is life and rebirth too. What about white?
White, or hedge, or shisep, often linked with silver, fundamentally stood for cleanliness, purity, sacredness. Very different vibe. You see it everywhere. Sacred white animals, cows, baboons, oxen, they were revered.
Okay.
Priests wore white robes, signifying purity. The white crown of Upper Egypt, that symbolized sovereignty. And they used pure white alabaster for ritual objects like bowls. Whiteness meant sanctity.
So right from the start, these opposites are actually intertwined. Complementary even, not just one or the other. It really changes how you think about duality. Does this idea, this harmony and opposites, appear elsewhere?
Oh, definitely. It's captured perfectly in the yin and yang principle from Chinese philosophy. Maxence Liet talks about this. The joining of black and white signifies completeness, a full circle. And the key thing is yin and yang aren't inherently good or bad. Not at all. They're two essential, contrasting, but totally complementary sides of the same energy. They're tied together, inseparable. Their harmony governs everything, day and night, male and female, calm and agitation. Liet uses a simple mountain analogy. One side's shaded, yin, the other sunny, yang.
You can't have one without the other.
Exactly. You just can't.
That's such a powerful, integrated way of thinking. Okay, from yin and yang, let's dive deeper into Eastern traditions. What about Hinduism? The symbolism there seems incredibly rich.
It really is. And what's striking in Hinduism is how black often embodies, well, ultimate reality.
Transcendence.
Lord Krishna, for instance, his name translates as the Black One.
The Black One. Interesting.
But maybe even more profound is Kali, the Dark Mother. Her name comes from Sanskrit for blue-black, or even time. Her appearance looks fierce, maybe even terrifying at first glance, but it hides this deep truth. Her symbols point to destruction as transformation. It's cyclical. Life, death, rebirth.
So destruction isn't just negative.
Not in this context.
Yes.
And her blackness, that symbolizes her all-embracing nature. Because, as one text says, just as all colors disappear in black, so all names and forms disappear in her. She represents the ultimate reality, beyond illusion, absorbing everything.
Wow. That's a very different perspective on black.
It is. And this theme continues. Shani, Lord of Saturn, often shown dark-skinned, is a dispenser of justice. Another text says, before the beginning, thou didst exist in the form of a darkness which is beyond both speech and mind, primal darkness as the origin. Elaine Danielou also notes 4 symbolic colors for castes in ancient Farad. White for priests, red for warriors, yellow for farmers merchants, and black for craftsmen. But he stresses these divisions are found within every group of people. And Alan Conroy points out the white horse symbol showing up with Vishnu, Christ in Revelation, Muhammad's mystical journey. It often means justice, a new era, or the opener of new thought.
It's amazing how these symbols echo across different spiritual landscapes. But does white always mean purity? Or are there traditions that flip that?
That's a great question. And yes, there are really interesting counterpoints. In Japan, traditionally, white symbolizes death.
Death, not purity.
Right. A bride might wear white, not for Western-style purity, but to symbolize being sort of dead to her parents before starting her new life.
Fascinating.
And then contrasting that, you have the Druids of Wales. They wore white robes after 20 years of intense training. It signified their commitment to truth, secrecy, peace. So reverence for white, but linked to wisdom and discipline.
Okay, so context is everything.
Absolutely. And that brings us back to Ellen Conroy's idea of black representing mystery and wisdom, a kind of deep, unknowable truth. She quotes a text describing the creative mind, Neff, as thrice unknown darkness surpassing all intellectual perception. God's wisdom is beyond our full grasp.
Like a darkness that holds immense knowledge.
Exactly. Henry Vaughan called God a deep and dazzling darkness. Even Milton portrayed black as a solemn and holy shade, veiling a goddess whose face was too radiant for mortals. Black is a veil for profound wisdom. It symbolizes eternity, silence, the deepest things, maybe things not meant to be fully revealed. Think of biblical verses about unspeakable words or treasures of darkness, knowledge protected by a veil, like the veil of Isis.
Speaking of texts with these deep layers of light and darkness, the Popol Vuh, the Mayan creation story, sounds incredibly relevant here. What does Dennis Tedlock's work tell us about that?
Tedlock's insights are amazing. The Popol Vuh is fundamentally a story about the emergence of light in the darkness. It goes from these tiny primordial glimmers all the way to brilliant dawns. You have the grandmother of day, grandmother of light, representing time itself, lasting only as long as light does. And then there's this character, Seven Macaw, who boasts he's the sun and light, even when the real sun and moon are hidden. A contrast between false light and true light.
Okay, a recurring theme.
Definitely. And the crossroads, red, black, white, yellow roads. The black road is the Great Rift in the Milky Way. The white road is the rest of the Milky Way. But the green road, the Axis Mundi, the world's spiritual center, that's the path a living person wants to travel.
The path of life.
Right. The Popol Vuh also mentions the dark house in the underworld, Xibalba, and a white dagger used in a ball game. And interestingly, ancient evil beings are described as black and white. They're called masters of hidden intentions, masters of stupidity, masters of perplexity. It's complex, not just a simple good-evil binary.
Black and white together representing confusion or hidden motives.
Exactly. Even humans are made from yellow and white corn, and the first sunrise dries the earth, but it's noted that the visible sun is not the real one, just a reflection. Ultimately, survival after death is symbolic offspring or light. The body becomes white bones, and the spirit is a spark of light.
That's a really profound cosmology. How does this resonate with other indigenous views like, say, Bantu cosmogony?
Bantu cosmogony offers another really captivating view. The creator, Moijan Anengila, creates twin pairs, light and darkness, that emanate from him. You have elders for 4 primordial colors. White, Zizes, is elder, male, strong life. Black, Yinu Yinu, is younger, female, weak death.
Life and death associated with white and black.
Yes, initially. The idea is everything started white like the sky, but when Earth was banished, it became black, younger, female, weak, associated with small death. Then it expands to 7 colors, and colors define qualities. Peaceful faith is white, anger is black, evil is red.
Colors defining temperament or spiritual state.
Exactly. And there's this powerful idea of nightly sleep as an image of death, and waking up is resurrection. This is central to initiation rites, where initiates see spirits after a symbolic sleep of death. They offer tributes of white foods, non-bloody offerings to good spirits. The earth itself is seen as fundamentally black, but showing all colors from other realms, and it's divided vertically. White earth above, black earth of men, undecided earth of graves, and red earth below the worst, the abyss. It's a very layered reality, all seen through color.
From these incredibly rich ancient views, let's shift now. How do these themes play out in the major monotheistic traditions? What about the Abrahamic tradition?
Well, right at the beginning, Genesis 1, God creates light and separates it from darkness. Day and night, that sets a fundamental tone. The Jewish Encyclopedia points out that color symbolism in the Bible can be ritual, apocalyptic, literary, and it often has contrasting meanings. Black or dark colors, often linked to mourning, affliction, think sackcloth, or sometimes just descriptive. White is very commonly linked to purity, joy, used in sacred events like circumcisions, weddings. Then you get into Kabbalah, Jewish mysticism, and colors relate to the Sephiroth, the emanations of God. Saphir itself means sparkling light. White signifies peace, mercy, pity. Black represents latency of qualities like potential waiting to emerge. Wisdom, chokmah, is the first step from black latency to the unfolding of color.
So black is potential, white is mercy.
Roughly, yes. Keter, the crown, is often white clear. Bina, understanding, is black dark blue. Tradition even details degrees of white, from ordinary white sheep to pure snow white or manna, that heavenly substance mentioned in the Quran too, and degrees of darkness, black hair, sunburned skin, dark horses, specific shades like oven black, raven black, even terms for turbidity, sadness, dimness.
That's incredibly specific. What about Islam and the Quran?
The Quran uses color vividly too. Lots of nuances, contrasts, especially light versus gloom. Black and white are mentioned most often, sometimes with negative associations. White can mean light, dawn, the faces of people in paradise. Moses' hand turning white is a miracle, a drink in paradise. Black can mean the darkness of night, the faces of people in hellfire, anguish, worry, sadness, even dryness or destruction.
So clear symbolic associations there.
Yes, and some striking verses, like for fasting, eat and drink until the white thread becomes distinct to you from the black thread of the dawn, of very literal use. And then the really compelling Surah Al-Imran verse, on the day when some faces will turn white and some faces will turn black. This has both literal meanings, blessed versus punished, and metaphorical ones about inner states. Man created from black mud, the diversity of languages and colors seen as divine signs. But ultimately, the emphasis is on light. Surah An-Nur says, Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth, described as light upon light, guiding believers from darkness into the light.
It's clear the symbolic power of black and white runs incredibly deep across spiritual traditions. But how does this translate into something more, well, structured? Like law and society? That feels like a big jump.
It does, but it's fascinating how these abstract ideas got embedded in legal language and even procedures. Black's Law Dictionary from 1891 gives some great examples. You had Black Acre and White Acre. They weren't real places, just placeholder names for land in old legal examples, like Property A and Property B.
Just convenient labels.
Exactly, essential shorthand. Then you had Black Acts, old Scottish laws printed in black text, and the Black Book of the Admiralty, a highly authoritative legal text for maritime law. There was also the difference between white rents, paid in silver money, and blackmail. Originally, blackmail was payment in goods or labor, or even protection money paid to border raiders.
Ah, so that's where blackmail comes from.
That's the origin, yes. It later evolved into our modern meaning of extortion. You also had white friars, a sanctuary in London. A white bonnet was a fake bidder at an auction to inflate prices. Even the judge's black cap for death sentences, often seen as just a symbol of death, but actually it was just part of the judge's full formal dress for solemn occasions.
So these colors were woven right into legal fabric.
Deeply embedded.
That's amazing historical context.
Yeah.
And speaking of judges, that iconic image, black robe, white wig, how did that specific tradition evolve?
Well, the history of judicial robes is long, over 7 centuries. The black robe, symbolizing authority or maybe mourning its exact origin, is debated, maybe linked to mourning Queen Mary II in 1694, but likely older. A standard code emerged around Edward III's time, 14th century. And this surprises people, black wasn't the only color for centuries.
Really? What else did they wear?
They had violet for winter, green for summer, and scarlet for really formal occasions or ceremonies.
Green robes. I can't picture that.
Right. By the mid-18th century, things shifted. Scarlet became more common for criminal trials, black silk gowns for civil cases. When new courts appeared, like the High Court later on, plain black silk gowns became more standard. Though interestingly, there were pushes for more color later. A judge suggested it in 1915, and after World War I, they did adopt more varied robes again. Today, practice varies. Judges might wear traditional robes, black, or others are just suits. It's always evolving.
Okay, we've covered ancient beliefs, legal structures.
Let's turn inward now, to the human body itself and how we actually perceive black and white. This feels like a totally different perspective.
It is, but it's amazing how these basics still apply. Biologically, think about white blood cells, leukocytes.
Yeah.
Absolutely vital for our immune system fighting off infections. White is protective internally. Then black is tied to melanin, the pigment giving color to our skin, hair, eyes. It defines our physical appearance in many ways.
And in the brain, we talk about white matter and gray matter. White matter is nerve fibers coated in whitish myelin. Gray matter is the nerve cell bodies, darker. The brain itself has these distinctions. Even in microbiology, scientists use black and white to describe how cells or bacterial colonies look. It's fundamental biological description.
Okay, so it's in our biology. What about how we see them optically?
This is where Johann Wolfgang von Goethe's work on color is so interesting. He looked at how our eyes react. Total darkness is a kind of privation for the eye, while bright white dazzles it. The eye can be totally relaxed or totally strained. But here's the really cool part Goethe observed. A dark object looks smaller than a bright object at the exact same size.
But really, smaller.
Yes, he showed that a white circle on a black background appears noticeably larger, maybe by a fifth, than an identical black circle on a white background. He mentioned the astronomer Tycho Brahe noticing the moon looks smaller when it's a darker crescent compared to when it's full and bright.
So that's why a black dress is slimming. It's an actual optical effect.
Exactly. Goethe figured that out. It's not just fashion, it's optics.
Mind blown. Okay, let's go even deeper into perception, maybe more esoteric. What about the third eye?
Yes, the pineal gland. Often called the third eye, the all-seeing eye. Esoterically, it's seen as the link between our objective and subjective selves, the visible and invisible worlds. Scientifically, we know it's crucial for regulating our circadian rhythms, our sleep-wake cycle, and it does this based on light and darkness.
How does that work?
Bright light suppresses the pineal gland's production of melatonin, making us feel awake. Darkness stimulates melatonin, making us sleepy. And here's the really fascinating connection. The word melatonin itself comes from the Greek melas.
Melas,
Meaning
black or dark.
No way. So the hormone controlling sleep literally has black in its name.
Isn't that something?
Okay.
And Manly Hall noted that Kabbalists link the very first sephira, Keter, the crown, to the pineal gland, so it has deep spiritual links too. Wow. Okay, that connection is profound. Let's switch gears slightly to music. The piano keyboard is the ultimate black and white visual, isn't it? What's the story there?
It really is iconic. The colors themselves are, well, somewhat arbitrary historically, but they serve a vital, practical purpose. Contrast. It's not just aesthetics. That contrast helps musicians instantly see and locate notes and patterns, makes playing much easier.
So white keys are the naturals, black keys the sharps and flats.
Right. White keys are A through G, the natural notes. Black keys are the sharps or flats in between. And the pattern groups of 2 black keys, then 3 repeats. That visual grouping is key. This whole layout makes it possible to play in any key, to form all the scales and chords that create music. The black and white structure enables the complexity.
But the music itself isn't black and white, is it?
Not at all. That's the beauty of it. The physical instrument uses the stark black and white, but the music it produces, that evokes a myriad of colors, an infinite range of emotions. The keys are just vessels, tools for transmission. It's the sound, the vibrations that affect us, body, mind, subconscious. The black and white keys unlock all that color.
From piano keys to the cosmos. Let's look at modern science now, and even philosophy. How do they grapple with what color, including black and white, actually is?
Yeah, this gets into some deep philosophical territory. The Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy mentions the betweenness bond, how a color's identity often depends on its place in the spectrum, its relation to other colors. Then there's this big debate. You have realism, the common sense idea that objects are colored. Tomato is red. But then science comes along and says, well, objects are really complex structures of atoms reflecting certain wavelengths of light. So are they inherently colored in the way we perceive? Both views are actually seen as valid depending on your framework.
So how do they try to reconcile that?
One way is non-reductive realism, or primitivism. It basically says qualities like shape and color are just fundamental aspects of an object. You can't reduce them further, they just are. Another approach is reductive realism. This tries to explain color based on the object's surface structure, those complex microphysical components, and how they interact with light, reflecting specific wavelengths. It connects our perception back to the physics.
That's quite the philosophical puzzle. Okay, let's end the science part by looking way out there. Astrophysics. Black and white take on truly cosmic meaning there, don't they?
Absolutely. Huge meaning. Think about white dwarfs. These are the super dense cores left behind when stars like our sun run out of fuel. They don't fuse elements anymore, they just cool down over unimaginable timescales. Eventually, they're predicted to become theoretical black dwarfs, totally cold and dark, though the universe isn't old enough for any to exist yet.
So a star's life cycle ends in white, heading towards black.
In many cases, yes. Then you have black light, which is ultraviolet light. invisible to us, but it makes certain things glow. A reminder that what we see isn't all there is.
And the biggest unknowns.
Right. Dark matter and dark energy. These invisible, mysterious components make up something like 95% of the entire universe's mass and energy content. Dark matter is about 27%, dark energy a whopping 68%.
95%. And we don't know what they are.
We don't know their fundamental nature, no. We only know they exist because we see their gravitational effects on galaxies and the expansion of the universe. They literally dominate the structure and evolution of the universe. So the vast majority of reality on the cosmic scale is effectively dark to us, unseen, but incredibly powerful.
What an incredible journey. We've gone from ancient Egypt's fertile black soil to the dark energy shaping the cosmos. What really strikes me after hearing all this is how these apparent opposites, black and white, are just so deeply connected that they constantly push us to look deeper, to find those nuances, the textures, the shades of gray you mentioned at the start.
Exactly. This deep dive really shows, doesn't it? Black and white are far from simple. They're fundamental to how we understand creation, life, death, knowledge, justice, even our own perception in the universe itself. They teach us that harmony often comes from contrast, not its absence.
So thinking about all this betweenness of black and white, from ancient wisdom hidden in darkness to the unseen forces shaping reality, what does it truly invite you, the listener, to see or know about the layers of reality that lie just beyond the immediately visible?